All right, today we're jumping into a game that was, let's be honest, less about football and more about pure, raw fan anxiety. We're talking about the Jaguars' heart-stopping Week 17 win over the Colts. We're going to go inside the minds of the fans as they rode that emotional roller coaster from absolute despair to total elation. And, yeah, right back again.
So let's just start with one number that tells you pretty much everything you need to know. 7. That was the winning streak the Jaguars were on heading into this game. 7 wins in a row. I mean, they weren't just hot. They were building that kind of momentum that teams dream about in December. And this game, well, it wasn't just another game. It was the gateway to the postseason.
And you know, Jaguar senior writer John Ohezer just perfectly captured what it feels like to be a fan in this moment. He wrote, "This is fun. This is also nail-biting. This is contending." And that's it, right? It's that beautiful, awful, thrilling stress when every single play feels like it could be the one. That's the pressure cooker this entire game was played.
So, okay, how high were the stakes here? Let's actually break down what was on the line for Jacksonville in this huge division showdown, because this was about so much more than just getting one more W.
So yeah, that's the final score. But believe me, that score hides the real story. The struggle. To get here, the Jags had to survive on the road against a hated rival. And, maybe most importantly, they had to dig themselves out of a pretty deep hole. This win was earned the hard way.
And this is exactly why everyone was on the edge of their seat. Look at this. It wasn't just about winning a game. It was about getting their best record in more than a decade, keeping this massive winning streak alive, and, the big one, getting a stranglehold on the AFC South title. You could feel it. The entire season really hinged on these 4 quarters.
But of course, if you're a long-suffering Jags fan, you know the script is never, ever that simple. The game kicks off, and almost right away, that old, familiar feeling of dread just starts to creep back in. That first quarter was, well, it was rough.
And man, you can just feel the collective groan of the entire fan base in this one email from Mike in Ponte Vedra. He just says, "Not ready to play. Same old Jags." That is the voice of a fan who has seen this movie a million times before. All those years of late-season collapses just bubbling right back to the surface. It was an instant press of the panic button.
And then you get this gem from Constanza, which is just the perfect, most hilarious summary of the collective anxiety. George is getting upset. I mean, this is absolute peak fan meltdown. The sky is falling, everything is a total disaster, and we're not even done with the first quarter yet.
Okay, and here's the truly wild part. After all that panic, all the same old Jags, all the meltdowns, they were only down 3-0. 3! This is just the perfect example of that huge gap between the reality on the scoreboard and the emotional reality going on inside a fan's head when the stakes are this high.
But then, as the game kind of settled in, you could feel the tide start to turn. Because in those moments of panic, that's when heroes get a chance to emerge. Players who basically decided, nope, we're going to write a different ending to this story.
First up, you gotta talk about the defense. And the excitement just explodes in this comment from Anita. Buster Brown, player of the game. Holy cow! Cornerback Montaric Buster Brown was an absolute ball hawk, completely shutting down his side of the field. It was the kind of performance that makes you literally leap off your couch.
And meanwhile, on offense, you had wide receiver Parker Washington making one clutch play after another, which led to this really smart question from Alex. He asks, was this talent always there, just kind of waiting to be unlocked? Or did we just watch him evolve into a go-to guy right before our very eyes?
And if you look at how it all played out, it makes perfect sense. This wasn't some fluke. Washington's rise was a process. You can see the steady improvement, season after season, which led to him earning more and more opportunities. And now, he's turned himself into a reliable, clutch playmaker, who's a legit big play threat every single time he touches the ball.
But, you know, even in a huge win, it wouldn't be a real fan experience without some, second guessing. So it's time to hear from the armchair quarterbacks, who definitely had some thoughts on the team's strategy.
And Peter from New Jersey, he just summed up a major moment of fan frustration perfectly. Picture it. The Jags are driving, everything's clicking, and then they call a trick play, it fails, they fumble. You can just imagine the collective scream from every couch in Jacksonville. Why? Why are you getting cute when the simple stuff is working?
And this right here perfectly captures that whole debate. On one side, you've got the fans' completely valid frustration. That play killed a drive and gave the other team all the momentum. But on the other side, you've got the counterpoint.
That same aggressive, cute play calling is what made this offense score 25-plus points for 8 games in a row. It's that classic live by the sword, die by the sword scenario.
And the frustrations didn't stop at the play calling. Nope. Fans were also fuming about the TV announcers and a super controversial replay that went against them. It's that classic fan mentality in a close game, right? Every single call, every single comment feels like it's part of some grand conspiracy designed to make you lose.
Okay, so let's put this all together. After the panic, after the big plays, and after all those frustrating moments, what was the real takeaway from this game? What does a messy, imperfect, stressful win like this actually say about a team?
In the end, the fan consensus was crystal clear. Paul from St. Augustine really said it best. There are no style points in the NFL. It wasn't a masterpiece, it wasn't a blowout. It was a tough, ugly, gritty win on the road against a division rival. And at this time of year, that's literally the only thing that matters.
And if you had to boil this entire game, this whole emotional experience, down to just one single word, James from Palm Coast absolutely nailed it. Resilient. This team took punches. They made mistakes. They bent, but they flat out refused to break. They just found a way to win.
And this email from Jeff, this might be my favorite one of all, because it captures the entire emotional journey of the fan base in just 2 sentences. He starts with that familiar pessimistic sigh, and then he flips the script. These are the types of games that good teams find a way to win. And that's the whole story. This team is now winning the ugly games that old Jaguars teams would have lost. That is the sign of a real contender.
And that, right there, brings us to the big, final question that's just hanging in the air. The Jaguars proved they're resilient. They proved they can win ugly. But, with the division title on the line in the final winner-take-all game of the season, is being resilient enough, or will they need to be something more? That's the question they'll have to answer.